Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show, helping our friends, family, and those around the country and the world to get their finances in shape. How are you doing today, Dope?
Man, I'm still on a cloud. My kids and family gave me a happy surprise 70th birthday party, and they totally surprised me. And it's so neat to get your flowers while you're living. It's really nice. So I'm still on cloud nine from that, and that was this past Saturday. So all my kids were here, all my grandkids were here, my two son-in-laws. It was really nice.
That's awesome, Dope. 70 years. That's a lot of years, my
It's a
brother.
long time, my
On
brother.
this earth.
It's a long time.
And like my brother always say, you never leave this earth alive only if you're an astronaut.
True blessings. So I'm feeling truly blessed today, my brother.
That is good. I feel the same way, Dope. And it's so good to be here with you all today. Just got a few administrative things. If you can, click on the button, the like button, as many times as you can, and click on the heart button because that's how we get traction and get visibility to more people. That's how it works here on Facebook. And make sure you share us on Facebook and you also subscribe to all the people who are on YouTube. Really appreciate that. We got a action-packed, information-packed show as always, and we like to make this interactive. So the way we can do that, since we're in the studio, virtual studio, you all can interact with us by using the comment box. If you have any questions, any thoughts, or any opinions about anything we say, put them in the comment box, and we will make sure that we will attend to it. Or if you have a topic or something, a different topic that you like to talk about, or a question that you may have about something that we are discussing in today's show. So that's how we plan to make sure we interact with everybody. So please tap on that like button as many times as you can. You can't tap on it enough for us. We really appreciate it. Though last week our show was understanding your investment mindset. And I'm a big proponent when I teach, Joe. You know, everybody thinks it's about math, you know, about budgeting and investing gains and losses. But the first thing is you got to have the proper mindset because that is what determines, you know, your choices and your decisions. And, you know, what you believe in, what's important, you drives those decisions. So we had a great discussion last week. This week, we got an interesting topic, though. We got a very interesting topic. And a lot of people are asking me, what in the world? But before we get to the topic of this week, we're going to start at the top of the show with the favorite subject, the stock market. And Dope, we're hoping you got some good news for us.
Great
this
news.
week.
Great news. Great news. Market's been doing really well.
Uh-oh.
The Dow has notched 7 positive days in a row. First time it's done that since December. It looks like the indication from the Fed that they are unlikely to raise interest rates. Didn't say they're going to go down, but they're unlikely to raise. And all the earnings news from most of the major corporations has been good. And so that's pushed the Dow up. The past week, Dow's up 3%, 1,162 points. That's pretty good. NASDAQ's up 500 points or 3.2%. Microsoft's up 14 points. Happy to see that. Tesla's down. Tesla's still having it. It's pretty much had a rough week. They announced like a huge layoff. They're laying off like 14,000 people. And one of their top executives quit, and mostly because of the big layoff. And I think the investors are wondering how that's going to affect the company going forward. When you start laying off that many people, you wonder if it's going to affect the quality and if you are losing talented people. So as you can see, the market is taking that negatively. Apple's up 12. I mentioned last week that they did a little better than everybody thought they were going to do. So They're up almost 7%. Pfizer staying flat, even though a lot of the outlook on Pfizer has started to improve. NVIDIA is up 29 or 3.4%, about as much as the NASDAQ's up. And Google is up to 172. And this is another one I'm smiling about because I think I told you I got in there. I think I got in one at 117 and the other one not much higher than that. So I'm watching that go. So all in all, the market's looking pretty good. Still in some, we don't know if this is the start of the bull market or if inflation is going to stick around and continue to put a damper on things, because all we need is some more bad inflation news and we'll be going the other way. But right now, things are positive and looking good.
That's great news, Dope. Hey, Dope, over the years, I had a lot of people discuss with me cannabis stocks, right? And a lot of the companies are in Canada because Canada is one of the countries where it is legal. And there was this one stock called Tilray that a friend of mine always told me about. And then there was another stock, cannabis stock called CGC, and another one called Green Thumb. And I noticed the other day, all of a sudden, they all took off. So I looked into it and said, why are these cannabis stocks taking off? And the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, have changed the classification of marijuana, which was a class 1, which was with heroin and
all the hard stuff.
Yes, they changed the classification to a 3, and that just sent the stocks going off. And then I found out that there's legislation heading to President Biden's desk called the Safer Banking Act. And most people probably don't know that cannabis companies cannot put money that they've earned from selling cannabis into FDIC insured banks because of the Bank Secrecy Act, where they're coming with a new act called the Safer Banking Act, which is allowing financial institutions to take that money. So I don't know, but that may have also a major effect on cannabis stocks. So if anybody out there is considering cannabis stocks, look into that research and check it out, because I'm interested in it, though.
And Bob, more and more states are legalizing it. And
27 states, though.
Yeah, Ohio just did a little while ago, even though they got a Republican-controlled legislature, and they're kind of dragging their feet on actually putting it in play. But it's becoming more and more prevalent. People are finding a lot of uses for it. You can also get it without the buzz, and people are using it to sleep. People are using it to fight anxiety. And I think either that or that's probably going to be the next thing I buy is going to be some a cannabis stock.
Yeah, well, Tilray was in below $2, and when they changed the classification to class 3, it went up to about $2.45, and now it's down to about $1.98, somewhere in there. So I jumped in though, because I had some money that was sitting in savings account that was getting less than 1%. I'm like, I mean, I got a hot 1,000, and that bought what, 500 shares?
Exactly.
So we'll see. But once again, I've been tracking that cannabis. There was another one called CSC Science. So there's several out there. But if anybody's interested, go out there and do the research yourself.
Do your research.
Do your research. Okay. Let's talk about the cryptocurrency market, Dope. Once again, cryptocurrency is back up, Dope. Bitcoin is up $4,153 from last week. It's at $63,357 per Bitcoin. Last week it was $59,204. That's up 7%. Dogecoin has dropped back down from 9th to 10th. but yet it actually from last week it grew 15%, about 2 cents. And then you got Ethereum up $69, and then the stable coin, which is uh, backed in theory by the dollar. They peg it to the dollar, but sometimes they're saying they're pegging it to the dollar and other assets, which is different than all other cryptocurrencies, which is not backed by anything, right? But that's the one. Tether, what they call a stable coin, is up 10%. And Solana is up $14, up 10%. So the cryptocurrency market is jumping up there too. Hey, dope. So it seems like every time the market is up, just in my humble analysis, seems like the cryptocurrency market always jumps up too.
Yeah, and I haven't figured out that relationship yet.
Yeah, me either, though. I wonder, but every time though, when the market is down, the cryptocurrency market is down too. So
yeah, it's probably all just confidence in the market, and just the more positive news that you get, the better crypto is going to do. I've said this 100 times. I just think that's going to be the way people do business at some point. It's just a matter of which one of when it's going to take hold. But it's kind of funny because I think the Feds or the Justice Department is investigating Robinhood, and part of it is because you can do transactions in crypto that's kind of behind the scenes, that they don't have full disclosure of what people are doing. And that's why a lot of the crooks who are getting ransoms or getting money are doing it with crypto, because it's incognito. And of course, the government doesn't like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It really is.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because just never know. But dope. Now, people have been wondering hit me up talking about, Bob, what is this week's show about? I said spaving. They said spaving? What in the hell is spaving? But that's a new term though that is on the market. And why don't you share with the people what have you been spaving is what we want to know.
And it's just kind of an acronym for spending more to save more. Okay. And if you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this because I get extra points. Or if I spend this $100, I get 20% off. But I mean, it's really bad for you if you aren't managing what you spend. You can end up with high credit cards, and you think you're saving, but your net worth isn't going up. Okay. And sometimes it might be, well, it's a limited time deal. If I buy it now, I can save money by buying it now instead of waiting. Or it's a buy one, get one free, and I can't pass it by, so I'm going to buy it now. Now, this is in spite of the fact that you might not be ready to buy, but you buy it anyway. Or you buy another item to get 5% discount, or to get some kind of discount, or to get free shipping. If you got to spend $100 to get free shipping, you find something else to buy just to get, free shipping. It's all those things you buy because of some sort of incentive, but that incentive may not be to your best benefit. And so you got to make sure you control your excessive buying habits, and make sure you're staying away from high credit card debt, because that can definitely happen if you continue to try to spend more to save more.
Yeah, that's a lot of people get caught up with that though. A lot of people, spaving is people's way of justifying their desire to buy more. By nearly every measure in these days and times, Americans are financially strapped. Yet even as inflation and high interest rates squeeze budgets, though, consumers continue to fall for these financial traps. Now, there's teams of scientists. This is what they study, how to figure out how to extract more money out of you. I mean, this is what their job is. That's their goal. But spaving comes at a cost. We are just constantly spending more than we can afford. And then we experience stress related to our financial health. So today we're going to talk about ways on how to deal with spaving.
Yeah, and you know, Bob, this is right up my alley because it gets you to combat it. The first thing you got to do is just think about what you're buying. Think about your purchases, carefully. Don't just buy things willy-nilly. Make sure you have a plan to your purchases because, as Bob says, you're bombarded with marketing efforts everywhere you go. I mean, somebody was telling me about T-Mobile having TVs all in their stores with advertisement, and they're going to sell that. So you're always bombarded with something to get you to spend your money. And what do they call it? Subliminal messages are always hitting you about being thirsty or being hungry or why you need to have this because so-and-so has it and you're hip if you have it, on and on and on. So you got to make sure you plan your purchases and don't get caught up in buying things just to buy things. So we're going to talk about some steps you can take to avoid the financial trap of spaving. And the first one is quiet the noise. Identify triggers that lead to impulse buying. That's the key to avoiding them. If you know when you get depressed, you spend money, that might help you check to make sure you don't go out and spend money when you do get upset or you do get stressed. And a lot of times it may be as simple as just get rid of the apps on your phone. Don't make it so easy to pop up on an app and hit buy. It's so simple to do. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people buy a lot of things. And you can also look for coupons and only when you need them. If a lot of times I'll get a Costco magazine, I'll be glancing through that and see stuff that I need when I wasn't thinking about it at all. But because I got the flyer, I get that. So I always make sure that I kind of check myself before I buy something that I supposedly need when it's only because I've been triggered by something that makes me think about what I need.
And remember the the topic, you all, is because it's tricky. Spending more or trying to save more. That's it almost sounds like an oxymoron, though. But the next thing but it's real. It's real. The next thing is, and I've talked about this before, pay with cash. Now, buying big ticket purchases in cash can also avoid impulse spending. Now, you're less likely to part with your hard-earned cash and on something you didn't plan to buy, or you don't really need when you're forking out or, just paying, actual bills. It's psychologically. Behavioral scientists say that this strategy doesn't rule out money-saving opportunities either, because there's apps out there that, where you can take pictures of your receipt and earn points on these apps out there, which you then can redeem for gift cards at retailers like Walmart, Target, and Amazon. So it doesn't rule out, not, taking advantage of some discounts, but, don't be overspending because you're trying to save a buck.
And the next one is do the math. And I know for people like me, that's second nature. I mean, I'm a bean counter, typical nerd by nature. And so I always do the math, but I'm encouraging you to do the math, especially when it comes to some of these buy more, save more deals. And a lot of times it's not worth it. And the percent discount is often the same, but disguised as a great value when it isn't really. So if you get $20 off 100, that's no better than $10 off 50. So don't do the math. Don't get caught up in their numbers because, again, it's marketing ploys to try to get you to spend money. So do the math, make sure it makes sense, make sure you're increasing your net worth and not just buying to get that discount or to save money.
Stay clear of temptation. Temptation is a big one, though. I saw a guy with a T-shirt on the other day said, I can resist anything but temptation. Now, if there's a particular retailer that tempts you with limited time sales, try to avoid going to the store altogether. And the one that gets me, though, believe it or not, is K&G menswear, because they have my size, extra long, tall, extra long, tall. And they always have something nice. And every time I go in there, they hit me on my phone with $20 off, $100. I go in there, I see golf outfits that I can hook up, and that's the one to get me. So one of the things they help yourself, they say, shop online and choose the curbside pickup to get what you need. That way you won't go in there and be tempted.
Yeah, and another, just on that same subject, like CVS. Don't buy anything from CVS. That CVS is the most overpriced store ever created. And they'll give you, they know I won't buy unless I get a coupon. So they send me coupons, 30%,
Right.
35% off. That's the only way I'll go there. But what you got to watch out for is a lot of times they'll have larger items, more popular items on sale. And the sale price is not near 30, 25 or 35%, but they won't let you use the coupon on sale items. So again, they're just grossly overpriced. You're paying for convenience. You're paying for the fact that they have brick and mortar. It's usually way cheaper on Amazon or Walmart.com or at Walmart. So stay out of there. But the next little trick to avoid spending when you should be saving is create shopping hurdles. That's things you have to do before you make that purchase. A lot of people save their credit card information within the app. All you pretty much have to hit is boom, and it automatically goes. So make sure you take that off for two reasons. One, if somebody got your credit card number, but more importantly, it gives you time to think about it. So you got a credit card, put your number in or scan in either one, but either way, you got to go through an exercise before you can actually make that purchase. And that's what you want to do. Create that hurdle to give yourself time to think about it. Do I really need this? Is this really going to benefit me?
Yeah. Now this one is, this sort of, it's an important one though, because a lot of people, don't set time rules. What I mean is, when in doubt, sleep on it. We have this instant gratification thing, but give yourself 24 hours to think through a purchase before you hit that buy button. Like what you were saying, about having that at your access. Now, chances are you will have moved on, because a lot of times, we get these pressure sales, limited time sales, and we feel we can't have time to think about it. Nah, especially the big ticket items, y'all. Really, 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 when in doubt, sleep on it. Give yourself a day or two.
And the next one, it's real easy to get caught up with, and you should feel a little ashamed if you are, but don't be surprised because a lot of people are. And those are recurring charges and renewal. And a lot of times, you don't take time to read the terms and conditions, but a lot of things, especially on real good deals, have automatic renewals or recurring charges. Okay. Make sure you understand what you're buying when you're buying and the fact that it's not going to be recurring. And so, because a lot of times you won't notice something. It may be $3.99, it may be $2.99, and you won't even notice it. Now, if you listen to us and you have get an alert whenever your credit cards hit, you would notice it. But a lot of people don't. And they did a recent survey on Consumer Reports, or seeing our research, and it found that the average consumer spends $218 and $23 more, $133 more than they thought they spent. So they they're spending way more on subscriptions and services than they thought. And so it also said more than 70% of consumers had set bills to auto pay, with 55% of Gen Zers and 48% of millennials forgetting about those subscriptions. Okay. Don't get caught up in that. Make sure you're paying attention to, one, what you sign up for. Two, you're getting alerts whenever somebody hits your credit card. So if it's something you don't want, you can cancel. And a lot of times, even with free trials, you might do something to get a free trial, but it's only, and boom, then you get hit. And again, a lot of times you don't notice those little bitty charges. And so the FTC is trying to crack down on that and making it harder for you to not get caught up in that. Because a lot of times you end up you have to go through crazy different iterations to get out of stuff. Okay. So don't get caught up in that. And so make sure you're paying attention to the emails and notifications from companies letting you know you get charged. Put it on your calendar. If it's something that you have that you can't renew. For example, if you get NBA ticket, a lot of times it's automatically renewed. And so if you think you've had it and you don't want it anymore, put a note on your calendar a week before to go in and cancel it, because you physically have to do something to get it canceled. So make sure you do that. And if it's on Apple, you can go in anytime and cancel. And whenever the subscription or service that you bought, whenever it's time for renewal, it'll automatically, you can kill it anytime during that period. And so, and in some apps, you can set a preference on these subscriptions so that you won't get charged repetitively. And so you got to stay on top of that, because it's when everybody's busy and not looking at every single detail, it's pretty easy to get caught up and get charges that you don't need. We always try to remind you to stay on top of your credit card bills. Make sure you get alerts whenever somebody hits your credit card. Take a look at your bank statements if you don't review your account balances every day to make sure nothing's getting slipped in. A lot of banks are good for that, charging you for this and charging you for that. You got to stay on top of these little things. And again, it could just be a couple of bucks, but a couple of bucks for a whole year, for 20, 30 years, adds up to a lot of money. You got to stay on top of these little charges, and you want to win every time you make a transaction.
Hey, Doug, I'd like to thank Garnett for giving us, a good example tonight of what we're talking about, of paying attention. She just sent a message to everybody and said, good morning. And so she came back and said, I can't believe I just said good morning. Good evening, Garnett. Good to see you, girlfriend. Dope. Another one is fitness fantasies. Now, endorphins can make you do weird things, such as taking exactly one new fitness class, then signing up for a 10-pack of classes, or buying an annual membership. Now, reality check. Gym memberships are notoriously underused, with 82% of them used less than once a week, and 63% not used at all. So canceling such memberships can be more taxing than a workout. You may have to ask for paperwork at the front desk, get it notarized, send it via U.S. Post certified, pay a cancellation fee, and or wait a full month for the cancellation to take effect. So to avoid getting in this spot, go on at least 3 dates with a workout before you commit a class pack of membership. If you see the gym sells day passes to non-members, while you figure out how much you will go, consider just buying a day pass. It may be cheaper to buy a day pass than an annual membership if you'll go less than a dozen times a year. Now, if you opt for the membership, note when billing cycle starts each month, it might not be the first or even during the first week, and make any allowable changes you need before then. You don't want to miss it by a day or two and end up paying the entire month.
And the next thing is high hassle return processes. And you get annoyed because a lot of times you need to keep the original packaging. Sometimes you only have a limited amount of time to return the item. So you gotta make note of that. So you don't end up keeping something that you don't really want. And in some cases, you can only get a store credit. And sometimes you might be buying something that you only gonna buy at that store one particular time. So before you buy something, make sure you understand what the return process is. Okay. And sometimes you got to make sure you keep the order number. So maybe take a picture of it when you make the purchase. And a lot of companies make it, I won't say a lot, some companies make it difficult to return things. And that's by design. So they can make sure that you don't, and you'll end up keeping something that you don't really want. They did a study that found 90% of online shoppers rarely return items. And among those who keep an item they wanted to send back, 58% said it was because the process was too much of a hassle. So make sure you know what you're getting into when you buy something. Don't buy something and find out the return process is so crazy that if it's something you don't want, you can't return it back. Some cases you might need to print a printer label, and a lot of people don't have a printer handy. So go borrow a friend's if you need to get a printer label. Find out if the retailer has a return bar. Like Amazon, you can take it to Whole Foods, so you don't need to go through that. And so there's a lot of things that can happen to make it difficult to return an item. So make sure you understand that before you make a purchase. The last thing you want to do is buy something that you don't need and you can't send it back and get your money back.
Hey, Doe, let's take a moment and talk about gift cards. Now, gift cards can be a cash drain and probably not for the reason you think. Yes, American adults possess an estimated 23 billion in unused cards, with millennials holding the highest unredeemed amount, averaging $187. A recent study found. Turns out using gift cards can make you overspend too. In a British study, 74% of shoppers who use gift cards said they overspent the card amount by the equivalent of $54. Now, if you receive gift cards, try to redeem them promptly before you forget that you have them. And when you redeem it, bring a game show mentality to your shopping, spending the closest to the gift card amount without going over it.
And the next one, this is one that gets me a lot of times. It's the single line checkouts. You have to snake through the long line, and they have cookies and candy and pop and Gatorade and all kind of good stuff along the way as you wait in line and with nothing else to do but look at all the goodies staring right at you. And that's all by design. They know you're going to impulse buy, especially those things that catch your eye that are sweet, if you have to walk past them several times. And so you got to be aware of that. Be laser focused that you're not going to buy the candy or soft drinks as you walk through as you snake through the line. And it's funny, they get data and they break it down by the generations, and millennials are 52% more apt than other generations to make self-pampering impulse purchases, which is really kind of crazy when you think about it. So try to be your own strict parent when you walk through these lines. Keep your eyes and hands off the candy, coffee mugs, moisturizers, and other little items as you walk through that long line to get to checkout.
Hey, Doug, did you know this, that since the invention of extra large grocery carts in the 1930s, grocery carts have gotten significantly bigger, triggering us to toss in more items and spend more. Shopping carts. Handheld baskets limit shoppers to only what they can comfortably carry, which may explain the recent popularity in hybrid baskets that can roll around the store. Now, when you can, avoid taking a larger cart or basket than what you need. And stick to a focused shopping list to, so that you're not tempted to load up on impulse purchases.
The next one is caffeinated shopping. Now, I never thought about this. Now, because sometimes I think me and Bob have the same issue with our heart going out of rhythm. We have to limit the amount of caffeine we consume. But a lot of people who drink a lot of coffee, a lot of stores you go in, the first thing you see is a Starbucks. And again, that's by design too, because it's a proven fact that the more caffeine or the more jacked up you are when you're shopping, the more you're going to buy. And so that's why they have these coffee shops so available when you go into a store now. So think about that. And you may not even know that's one of the triggers that you have. But now that we mentioned it to you, just be aware of it and don't pick your coffee up on the way in, get it on the way out. And by the same token, if you're shopping online, don't be caffeinating while you're clicking, because you'll end up clicking more than you want to.
That is such a trip, though, because I never even thought about that, And then we have the targeted ads. Some ads can follow you around like a puppy. Or maybe it's more like a whole litter of puppies showing up in your social feed, on banner ads, as promos in your inbox, and even in your friends' feeds. No, your phone isn't listening to you, but it does know who you message or share an IP address with. And in true puppy dog fashion, these ads can be irresistible. A recent survey found that young consumers find targeted ads more interesting than intrusive and appreciate the convenience of finding out about new products and brands. However, targeted ads can also influence how you feel about yourself. Now, another research found, for instance, if study participants were told their previous browsing led to getting an ad for a high-end watch, they thought themselves as more sophisticated. That can lead to impulse purchases also, though. Now, you scroll through social media. Sure, you can clear your cookies, clear your cache, and ask apps not to track. But the next time you're about to click from an ad to a e-tailer, take a breath and a screenshot instead of adding it to your cart. Give yourself a day to check online the reviews of the seller or the items. Then you can decide if it is worth buying.
The last one we're going to talk about is convenience upcharges. And yes, I'm the guy who buys everything on credit card and makes sure somebody's paying me to buy something. But again, this is another one where you got to do the math, because some locations charge a convenience charge for using a credit card. And so you need to be aware of that and make sure that the credit card charge is not more than the cash back or reward that you get for using the card. So in some cases, you need to make sure you have some cash, which I know for the older people, it's not a problem, but the young people do not carry cash. I used to think it was that my kids didn't carry cash when they were around me, because they would always expect me to pay for it. They always say they're on scholarship when they're with me. But just in their everyday life, they just don't carry cash, which is really crazy to me. But so again, make sure that there is not a convenience charge. And if there is, make sure you're come out ahead on that transaction, because in some cases, you may be better off paying cash. And again, it's just like when you get the receipt from some restaurants. And I'm seeing this a lot more now, where they're adding the gratuity automatically. And so that's another thing you got to watch out for. Always make sure you know if they've added the gratuity, because especially if you drink and you've had a couple and you're probably not paying attention to the bill, you can end up paying tip twice, or tipping twice, or tipping more than you might ordinarily want to. So again, make sure you're coming out ahead on that credit card deal.
Yeah, no, that's very valuable information, man. And we're talking about spaving for some of you who are just coming in about, spending more by trying to save. Though, did you know that you can go on your phone and if you have an iPhone, you can click on your settings and go into your settings and then click on subscriptions, and you can actually see the subscriptions that you have that are automatic subscriptions, and you could turn it off. And for the Android, they have a different way to go in. I don't really know that one, but for the Apple, I think it's subscriptions and payments on the Android. But you can actually go into that, though. Like I said, click on your settings, click on the arrow beside your name, and then you'll see a bar there that says subscriptions. And for those people that have those automatically on and don't know it, you can turn those off. So that's another good tip.
Hey, Bob, it's kind of funny. And the reason I have to, because my kids are still on my Apple account. And so they oftentimes buy things, and the way it's set up, it always goes to like the master credit card. So I end up getting the bill, or they subscribe to things. And so I have to make sure that they send me the money for what they buy. And so I kind of have to be on top of it, but everybody should. You don't want to pay for stuff that you don't have to. And the last thing I'm going to say is sometimes it seems like I'm a penny pincher, which I wear that label proudly. And people will make a decision based on the aggregate purchase. And what do I mean by that? It's that example where you're buying a car and you're negotiating price, and you get down and you're $1,000 apart, and it's late in the day, and the guy says, well, let's just split it. And it seems like, because you're talking about a $30, $40, $50, $60,000 car, that little amount of money is not that big of a deal. But you have to look at the absolute value. $500 is $500, and I was having a conversation with one of my good buddies today. We're talking about athletes who make $50 million and can choose to live in a state that has no income tax versus one that has income tax. And my buddy's first thought was, yeah, but when you're making that much money, does it really matter? And my answer is, yeah, it matters, because if you're talking 4% on 50 million, that's $2 million. $2 million is always important. I don't care if you have 1 million, if you have 200 million, at least for a guy like me. And it's the same thing with these little transactions. They don't seem like a lot when you're thinking about it, but if you look at it every month for 30, 40 years, it adds up to a lot of money, and that's money you could have invested working for you. So I may seem like a penny pincher, but those pennies add up to dollars. And that's what you want to make sure you're doing. You're winning on every transaction you make. You're buying things that you need. You aren't reacting to marketing ads. You're buying what fits you, and you're going to end up building wealth that way.
Yeah, I mean, makes a lot of sense, though. So,
sorry to be preachy, but
no, but
this is up my alley when it comes to saving money.
To a person today, and he was an older gentleman, and he said, Bob, I've been trying to talk to my grandkids about saving, and I don't understand about their mothers and fathers because they're not getting it across about saving. It's just the concept of just saving. They so in the mindset of impulse buying, and they just struggle with the concept of saving. And this particular topic today is very important because it's so easy, because I know a lot of people that consider themselves penny pinchers, though, but they fall for a lot of these, discounts, or bulk buying, because they can get 3 gallons of ketchup, for a cheaper price. and they only use one for the next 6 months, that bulk buying, and they think they're saving. It's so important. We want you to be conscious. So we want to go to the takeaways, because in our takeaways, there's some very, very important information today. So I'll go first.
Okay.
This is along the lines of what you were just saying. This one is a penny wise, a pound foolish is basically what I was saying. A lot of times people trying to squeeze the penny so much that they end up paying more. I remember when I was playing overseas, though, I learned the lesson of, paying more for something of quality was way better than paying cheaper for something that was less quality. I ended up replacing it, more times than the one thing that had a quality. And that's along the line of being penny wise and pound foolish.
The same thing is almost small things, making something on big things. Next level of car that you don't need, it might be $10,000 more than you really need to spend. But the next one is, we've hit this one always. Think before you spend. Really ask yourself, is this something I need? Is this something that, a year from now I'm going to use, or 6 months from now, or am I going to wear it? Do I already have it at home? Just make a decision to keep from wasting money. Think before you spend.
And every transaction matters. It's never the big ones, right? Because those are not the ones that come often, but it's those little ones. And we gave you about maybe 12 to 14 different tips of different situations and transactions. Every one of them matter. So pay attention, because it's never the big ones. It's those little ones. It's that $5, $10, $20 that be seeping out of your pocket. And those are the ones that add up. So every transaction does matter. Like Dote said, he's a penny pincher, but the marketeers today, like I was telling you about the scientists, behavior scientists that they hire to determine people's decision-making and impulse buying, it's set up to try to get that dollar. Everybody's trying to get that dollar out of your pocket. So consider every transaction.
A spending plan. You gotta have a spending plan. It's critical. It's crucial. It's very important to stay on top of what you're spending. If you can reduce what you're spending, take the excess, put it in the market and make money on it, you're going to be way better off in the long term. And all these little transactions that we're talking about saving money on, if you can take all that extra money and put it to work for you, as opposed to wasting it on something that you don't need or overpaying on something that you don't need, you're going to be better off in the long run.
I'm definitely, though, in the long run. And then, by the way, you all, spending plan is nothing but another name for a budget. And we got to do it. Me and Dote talk about it all the time, because once you sit down and put it to paper, that helps you control the impulse buying, control the urge to have confirmation bias, convince yourself, that you deserve to spend the money on something even though you don't have the money for it. So please be conscious of that.
And one more thing, Bob, I want to say, and you have to get away from the thought that, oh yeah, Doty's an accountant, so he should be able to count his pennies and take care of his money and all that stuff. And yeah, that's true. But if you want to be wealthy, if you want to grow wealth, if you want to build wealth, you got to understand where your money's going. You got to understand and maximize your transactions. That's just not something for somebody who's financially oriented. That's for anybody who wants to build wealth. You got to understand your money.
That could have been better said, though. So just want to reach out to everybody. Today, our roll call. I got all my three sisters. I got mama, sisters, and me. We are family. Hey, Nolia, Linda, and Gloria. I'm so glad that my sisters support me. Now I just got to work. But my sisters, they always support me, man. And love y'all so much. Thank you for being on, supporting us. Garnett, how you doing, darling? Good evening, Garnett. Glad to see you. Taylor, what's up, Taylor? Doty. Okay, now, talking about great show, but go Cavs. Good luck with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They on my radar, though. I'm liking them, by the way. And Deborah Doty, what's up? My man, Grant Ship. A lot of people don't know that Grant's an artist, man. He's been sending me some pictures, man. Grant, you got some great pictures. Rodney L. Madison Sr., thenoteexperience.com. Please go out there and check out him on his site, thenoteexperience.com, on another investment opportunity in holding mortgage notes. And with that note, I'll say thank you to everyone. And I'd like to thank Rodney and my sister Nolia for wishing me a happy birthday, which will be this Sunday. I'll be 67 years old. Well, actually,
catching up. You catching up?
Well, actually, no. It's my 29th birthday. It's just the how they say it, it's my 40. It's my 37th. That's how we do it. It's my 39th. It's my 37th anniversary of my 29th birthday.
Yeah. See how much trouble you have when it comes to trying to work with numbers. That's my job. You got some number counting to do. Ask me to do it for you.
But when it comes to writing it down, you need to look up the Bobster, baby. but look. So check this out. My saying for today, though, is if you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes the sacrifice. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. That's some deep stuff. How deep do you go, Dote? Dote, have a good week, man. And we'll see y'all next week. Dote, 150 next week, 150 show. We want to do something special, Dote. We might have on like a special guest like Warren Buffett or somebody. We need to really go for it. All right, everybody.
It's getting late, brother.
It really is. Everybody have a good week. Love y'all and thank you for the birthday wishes. Oops.